Welcome to Shatter.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. She didn't even whisper. That's the part that burned. We were at a friend's rooftop birthday. Lights strung like stars. Music low, city skyline glowing behind us. I was just grabbing us drinks when I heard her laugh. Not the casual kind. The flirty, free kind. The kind she hadn't used on me in months. When I turned, she was already mid-sentence, talking to another guy. Someone I didn't recognize, someone standing too close. And then she said it, loud enough that the people next to her glanced up. He's just convenient. Not exciting. My name wasn't mentioned, but every eye turned toward me. I didn't say a word. I didn't flinch. I just stood there, holding two glasses like a waiter who brought the wrong order. I handed her the drink. She didn't even meet my eyes. Just took it, smiled, and turned back to him. That was the moment. That was when everything froze. You'd think I'd argue. You'd think I'd ask what the hell she meant. But I didn't. I smiled. A calm, unreadable smile. And then I disappeared into the crowd like fog. The next morning, I didn't mention it. She came home late, claimed traffic, long goodbyes, too many drinks. She kissed my cheek and asked if I could make coffee. I made 1 cup. For myself. She didn't notice. That week, I watched her change. Phone always face down. Extra time at the gym. A new perfume she never wore for me. She thought I wasn't paying attention. She was wrong. Wednesday, she left her laptop open. Slack messages. Some from work. One from someone named Marcus. Can't wait to see you again. Last time was insane. She closed it quickly when I walked in. Smiled like nothing happened. Asked what I wanted for dinner. I said I wasn't hungry. Inside, I was already planning. By Friday, I moved all my passwords. Pulled money from the joint account. My share, nothing more. She didn't notice. Too busy texting someone at midnight. She told me she needed space. She was reconnecting with herself. I let her think I believed it. But I was already pulling away. Not out of spite. Out of calculation. No confrontation. No fight. She wanted space? I was about to give her more distance than she ever asked for. But I'd do it without a single raised voice. Just like that night on the rooftop, silent. Cold. Clean. I wouldn't warn her. I'd just vanish from the role she thought I'd always play. She didn't know it yet, but her game had already ended. I was just giving her time to feel it. The following Monday, a mutual friend dropped by my office. Ben. Not exactly close, but close enough to raise eyebrows without meaning to. He leaned on the edge of my desk like he wasn't about to light a match. You and Jessica good? He asked casually, like he was asking about traffic. I raised an eyebrow. Why? He hesitated, then shrugged. Just saw her at that gallery thing Thursday night. She looked different. I don't know. Happy. I hadn't told him she went out Thursday. She said she had a migraine and needed rest. I didn't react. Just smiled, nodded, and shifted the topic. But inside, a switch flipped. That gallery event? It wasn't casual. It was high profile, one of those curated invite-only things. The kind she used to drag me to. Now she went solo. Or not solo. I went back to my desk and opened her calendar. Shared account. She probably forgot I still had access. Sure enough, creative energy reset, 7 p.m., Melrose Art Space. The description included the name Marcus R. I Googled it. Photographer. Known for provocative shots. Also known for messy dating rumors. Her new creative circle, apparently. That night, I watched her walk through the door in a black silk blouse I'd never seen. Hair done. Eyes glowing with something I hadn't seen in months. She said, "Long day," and breezed past me. I nodded. Yeah. She smiled like she didn't hear me. She was unraveling the old us and threading a new version of herself, and it didn't include me. So I started documenting. Not for revenge. For clarity. Photos of receipts. Screenshots. Calendar entries. Subtle changes in her tone. The way she said my name like it was a chore. The moments she forgot to wear her ring. The way she dressed down at home, but light up for events. All of it. The story was writing itself. And while she curated a new persona for the world, I prepared a different version, one grounded in facts. Her choices, not mine. I never confronted her. Not once. But I stopped making myself available. Stopped asking how her day was. Stopped noticing the small things she used to pretend mattered. And for the first time, I saw it hit her, not through anger, but confusion. I wasn't mad. I was done. The next shift was subtle, predictable, but undeniable. She started guarding her phone like it held state secrets. Notifications silenced. Screen always tilted. And when she wasn't clutching it, she was face down on the couch, scrolling like the world depended on it. I never asked, never reached for it. Instead, I mirrored her detachment. I took a day off work without telling her. She thought I was at the office. I spent the morning in a quiet cafe 2 blocks from her gym, watching the entrance from a distance. At 10:13 a.m., she walked out. She wasn't alone. Marcus, taller than I expected, confident in a way that tried too hard. They didn't touch. But the way she leaned in when she laughed, that told me everything. Back home, she mentioned nothing. Just complained about the Wi-Fi and asked if I could look at the router. I told her to call the provider, then went back to my book. Later that night, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop. It was still logged into her cloud account. I wasn't looking for dirt. I was confirming a truth I already knew. Photo albums labeled with dates I recognized. Private folders. One was named New Self. Inside were selfies, filtered, curated. Not the kind she sent me. And then a video. Just a few seconds. Her, in the mirror, smiling. Someone off camera saying her name in a way I hadn't heard in months. I closed the laptop. Not because I was hurt. Because I didn't need more. The data was enough. I started locking down essentials. Not out of vengeance. Out of necessity. Pulled my name off joint credit cards. Transferred auto-pay accounts. Logged out of shared apps and left no trace. She didn't notice. She was too busy reclaiming her space. Every night, she disappeared into the bedroom with her phone. Every morning, she emerged like nothing had changed. But everything had. I watched her build a life where I didn't exist, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So I began subtracting myself. I stopped sharing schedules. Stopped syncing calendars. Stopped asking if she'd be home for dinner. It was no longer a home. It was a waiting room. And I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't betrayed. I was finished pretending. She thought she had options. What she didn't know was that I'd already made my choice. Not out of impulse, but from evidence. The silence wasn't new. But now, it became intentional. I started leaving the house without explanation. Early mornings. Late returns. No texts. No updates. She'd glance up from her phone when I walked in, as if trying to decide whether to ask anything. But she never did. That was her mistake. The more she ignored me, the more invisible I became, and she assumed it was power. It wasn't. It was preparation. The first real move I made was digital. I changed my passcodes, set up new email addresses, rerouted bank alerts to a different account. Nothing dramatic, just enough to shift the gravity. Next came the phone. I bought a second one. Quiet. No notifications. No apps. Only the essentials. I used it to coordinate my new life. A storage unit lease, consultations with a lawyer, property evaluations. All behind a wall of silence. Then, I disappeared. It started with a business trip. Only it wasn't business. I took 3 days and checked into a rental on the coast. No laptop. Just a notebook, gym clothes, and peace. I left my original phone at home. When she texted, it stayed unanswered. When she called, it went to voicemail. By the 3rd day, her tone changed. The messages weren't casual anymore. They were clipped. Nervous. Demanding. Where are you? Call me. I'm starting to worry. She wasn't worried. She was losing control. When I returned, I found her pacing in the kitchen. Hair tied up, no makeup, oversized hoodie, the armor of someone trying to pretend they weren't unraveling. She asked where I'd been. I said I needed time. No further explanation. She tried to read my face. Tried to measure if she'd gone too far. But I gave her nothing. I wasn't playing the part anymore. I started packing essentials into my car in small doses. 1 drawer at a time. A few books. Some files. Workout gear. Slowly disappearing from the frame. She didn't question it. She thought I was reorganizing. What I was doing was removing myself. That weekend, I canceled the streaming services in my name. Shut down the shared cloud. Transferred ownership of the storage drives. When she asked where her playlists went, I shrugged. She asked if something was wrong. I told her nothing was wrong. And I meant it. Because for the first time in months, I felt free. I wasn't trying to fix anything. I was preparing for exit. And she still thought I was just tired. Marcus wasn't subtle. His social media was a shrine to ego, blurry nightlife shots, vague motivational quotes, and a self-made narrative stitched together with hashtags. He wasn't just a photographer. He was a brand. One of those guys who used the words energy and alignment to mass chaos. And chaos leaves fingerprints. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was looking for weakness. And I found it. A lawsuit buried in court archives, 2 years back. Settled out of court. Terms sealed, but the context was clear. Breach of contract with a boutique gallery in Denver. Allegations of stolen work, missed deadlines, emotional instability. That last one came from the gallery owner's statement. I tracked down her name. Sent a polite, anonymous inquiry. Got a curt, 3-line response. I'd keep records if you're working with him. Trust me. I did more than that. I created a profile. Not fake, discreet, business-focused. I posed as an event curator sourcing talent for a potential exhibit. Reached out to Marcus through a business email with just enough polish to be believable. He responded in 6 minutes. The man couldn't resist bait. I kept the exchange professional, but subtly steered the conversation toward contracts, obligations, expectations. By the 3rd message, he was overselling. By the 5th, contradicting previous details. I logged everything. Then I stopped replying. He followed up twice. Then went silent. Good. That was the easy part. The next step was internal. Jessica had left her work laptop open. She often did. She never expected me to care. I didn't touch anything. Just read. Emails from her supervisor. Notes about scheduling overlaps. A warning about client communication gaps. She was slipping. Distracted. And it was being noticed. I saved nothing. Took no screenshots. Just remembered. At the next company mixer. Yes, I went. I made sure to shake her manager's hand. Made sure to compliment their latest campaign. Slipped in a harmless line. She's been spread pretty thin lately. Hope everything's good on your end. That was it. A seed. A question without a question mark. She didn't notice. But the cracks were forming, not just in us, but in her carefully split identity. And Marcus? He had no idea that he was already radioactive. I wasn't going to destroy him. I just wanted her to see him burn on his own. And when he did, she'd realize too late that I wasn't standing in the ashes. I'd already built something else. Silently. She loved her image. That was always clear. Not just how she looked, but how people saw her. Smart, poised, aspirational. A woman in control. Someone others envied, praised, followed. She cultivated that carefully. Dinner parties. Networking events. Photo dumps on Sundays with the perfect caption, grateful, growing. So I let the truth slip. Not directly, just enough. Her sister called one evening. Jessica stepped into the hallway. I stayed in the living room, listening through the thin drywall. The tone shifted quickly. What do you mean you're still figuring things out? Her sister asked. He's your husband, Jess. Silence. You said it was just a phase, that you needed space. But this sounds like something else. Jessica mumbled something about growth, clarity, and not being boxed in. Her sister didn't buy it. The next day, I received a text from her cousin, someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Hey, just checking in. You good? I replied simply, yeah. Life has a way of teaching us. Nothing more. But it spread. At brunch, her friends noticed I didn't show up. She told them I was busy. Then told someone else we were redefining connection. She kept shifting the narrative. But people talk. And the story started slipping from her control. The real moment came at her friend Maya's birthday. I wasn't supposed to go. She said it would be too complicated. I went anyway. The moment I walked in, conversation stuttered. She didn't expect me there. I wore a black suit. No tie. Clean. Detached. Maya hugged me first. You okay? She whispered. I smiled. I'm clear. Jessica tried to keep it normal. Smiles, laughter, pouring drinks. But people watched us differently. Her laughter sounded louder. Forced. Then someone said it. Not loudly. Not cruelly. Just a passing comment at the bar from a guy I didn't know. You really thought no one would notice? I don't even think he meant for her to hear it. But she did. And she froze. Later, when we got home, she was silent. Not angry. Not defensive. Just quiet. She made tea. Sat on the couch with her knees pulled to her chest. Stared at her phone without touching it. I walked past her and went to bed. She didn't follow. And for the first time, I knew she wasn't just afraid of losing me. She was afraid of becoming someone people whispered about. She had always cared more about the mirror others held up to her than the one I stood in front of. Now the mirror cracked. And the reflection wasn't perfect anymore. It was honest. And she couldn't handle it. She began reaching out. Not with words, with presence. Suddenly, she was home more. Cooking again. Asking if I wanted to join her for lunch. leaving the door open when she showered. But none of it landed. She was trying to rewind a tape that had already burned. I responded with politeness, not warmth. I thanked her when she handed me a plate. I nodded when she asked how my day was. But I never elaborated, never offered more than necessary. She'd laugh louder than usual during phone calls, hoping I'd ask who she was talking to. I didn't. Her eyes began to shift. Less boldness, more searching. Less performance, more panic. She texted her sister more often. Her mother, too. She even reached out to old friends she hadn't spoken to in years. I knew because she started saying things out loud, hoping I'd hear. I might meet up with Amy next week. I was thinking of calling my cousin in Vermont. I said nothing. Silence became my strategy. And it worked. Because silence is louder than rage. It echoes. One evening, I came home late. I'd been at the gym, then walked through the park just to stay away. She was sitting in the kitchen. No music. No distractions. Just waiting. She said she made dinner. Said she thought we should talk. I nodded. Sat across from her. Ate slowly. She talked. I listened. But I never gave her what she was hunting for. I didn't confirm her fears or soothe them. I just let her spiral. She asked if I was seeing someone. I said no. She asked if I still loved her. I said, I'm not sure that's the right question anymore. She blinked. That was the moment. She realized she was alone. Not physically, but emotionally. There was nothing left to pull from me. No anger to provoke. No affection to manipulate. I had become something she never imagined. Unaffected. And when she cried, I didn't comfort her. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. This was the weight of her own decisions. This was what it felt like when the backup plan stopped waiting. She curled up on the couch that night. Didn't come to bed. I left the light on. And fell asleep easily. Because peace is loud, too. And she wasn't used to it. It didn't happen like in the movies. No screaming. No broken plates. No rain outside the window. It happened on a Wednesday. She stood in the hallway, arms crossed, trying to steady her breathing. I was folding laundry, the kind of task that keeps your hands busy while your thoughts stay still. She asked if we could talk. I nodded, but I didn't stop folding. She paced once, twice, then planted herself in front of the TV. She said she missed me, that she felt like we were losing something we hadn't even fought for. I didn't answer. She said she made mistakes, that things had moved too fast, that Marcus wasn't what she thought, that nothing happened, not really, not physically. It was emotional, but not betrayal, not in her mind. I kept folding shirts. She said she realized too late what she had. She said I had changed. That part was true. Then came the moment she thought would fix it. She reached for my hand, told me she wanted to start over, go to counseling, reconnect, take a trip, whatever it took. I looked at her, really looked, for the first time in weeks. And I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pity. I felt distance. The kind you can't bridge with apologies or tears. I said we were past that. Not because I didn't care once, but because I had cared too much for too long, while she gambled with the idea of me. She didn't cry right away. She just stood there, like she couldn't comprehend the math of it. Her hand dropped. She sat down, quiet. She asked what I wanted. I told her the truth. Peace. Not revenge. Not resolution. Just peace. She asked if we could get that together. I said, that's not how this ends. I stood, took the laundry upstairs, closed the door behind me. She didn't follow. For the rest of the night, the house stayed still. No footsteps. No questions. Just silence. She understood then. This wasn't a pause. It wasn't a low point we'd climb out of. It was a conclusion written in lowercase. Not a scream, not a door slam. Just a full stop. And in that quiet, something broke, not in me. In her. The unraveling didn't come all at once. It came in fractures. A missed deadline at work. A tense conversation with her supervisor outside the office, barely hidden behind tinted windows. A friend's party she left early, looking hollow. Then, the whispers returned. People noticed the absence, not just of me, but of her composure. Maya stopped replying to her texts. Her sister canceled a weekend trip they'd planned. Even Marcus faded. Quietly. No dramatic exit. Just gone. The photos of them vanished from her phone. Her playlists changed tone. Brighter ones gone. Now it was all instrumental, ambient, empty. And in the silence of what she'd built, the weight of it all crashed down. One morning, I came downstairs and found her sitting on the floor. Not crying. Not speaking. Just sitting. Surrounded by scattered papers and old birthday cards. Her phone screen cracked. Notifications unread. I walked past her, grabbed my keys, didn't say a word. She looked up, as if hoping for some final confrontation. A last chance to reset the damage. But I wasn't there to give her closure. She had removed herself from my story long ago. I had just caught up. That week, I finalized everything. New apartment, new gym, new number. I boxed what I needed and left the rest. No announcement, no message. She came home one evening to an echo. No jacket on the hook, no toothbrush in the holder, no scent of my cologne on the towels. She stood in the doorway for over an hour. I know because the security camera I'd installed pinged once. Then never again. That was the end of her access. To me. To my world. To the version of herself she thought she could return to when the excitement faded. Her face disappeared from my contacts. Her name gone from every login. Even the joint account, closed, funds split clean. I didn't need to see her fall. That wasn't the goal. But I knew she would. Not because I wanted it. Because no one was left to hold the illusion with her. And without an audience, the performance stopped. She stood in the ruins of her decisions. And I wasn't there to help her up. Because I no longer recognized the woman on that floor. I'd already become someone else. I saw her one last time. It wasn't planned. Weeks had passed. My life had shifted completely. New walls, new furniture, new rhythm. Mornings were quiet now, but never empty. I was rebuilding, not from pain, but from clarity. And then, there she was. Outside a cafe, standing near the curb, arms wrapped around herself like the wind was colder than it really was. She hadn't seen me yet. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just reduced. Like the confidence she wore so boldly had cracked along the seams and never got stitched back. I could have walked past her. I almost did. But I stopped. She turned. And froze. Her mouth moved like she wanted to say something. But nothing came out. I didn't move closer. Just stood there. Not angry. Not triumphant. Just still. She took a step toward me. Then stopped. Her eyes searched mine. For warmth. For memory. For some version of me she might still access. But I wasn't offering anything. She whispered something. I didn't hear it. Didn't need to. Because no words would rewrite the silence she left between us. We stood like that. Two people who once shared everything, now holding nothing. Then I turned. Not quickly. Not dramatically. Just turned. And walked away. No goodbye. No final conversation. No closure. Because closure isn't owed. It's earned. And she spent that currency long before she realized its worth. As I crossed the street, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what was behind me, a life I no longer belonged to. She was still standing there, still hoping, still imagining that some version of me might return. But I wasn't gone. I was just done showing up where I wasn't respected. That was the last gift I gave her, the silence that finally made her listen. And in that silence, she stayed. Alone. Real men don't explode. They exit. Subscribe for more power stories.